When a millionaire decides to teach you how to make money, the first thing they do is debunk a lie. You don't need a job to survive, you need a system to live abundantly. Think about this. Elon Musk didn't become the richest man in the world by padding his resume, but by creating solutions that changed entire industries. So did Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and so many others who understood a fundamental rule. Money is never chased, it's built. The problem is that most people are still stuck in the same old idea they had 100 years ago. Study, get a stable job, work hard, and retire. But if you look at the numbers, that recipe no longer works. According to the OECD, more than 60% of the world's employees live paycheck to paycheck, with no real ability to save. True wealth isn't in working longer hours, but in discovering those invisible rules of money that they never taught you in school, but that millionaires apply every day. And before continuing, I want to invite you to declare something powerful in the comments. Money works for me. Because every time you affirm it, you reprogram your mind to stop being a slave to the clock and start building your own wealth system. Rule 1. Money never sleeps, and neither should you. Imagine this. While you sleep, someone on the other side of the world is working, trading, buying, or investing. Money knows no schedules, no vacations, no fatigue. That's why millionaires don't let it sleep. They put it to work 24/7. A salary, on the other hand, only pays you for your time. Every hour worked equals income. And when you stop working, you stop getting paid. It's a limited equation. Hours of life in exchange for money. The real game begins when you discover that money can multiply itself without you being physically present. According to a report by WealthX, more than 72% of the world's millionaires didn't achieve their wealth by working longer hours, but rather by investing in assets that generated returns even while they were resting. Properties that appreciated in value, stocks that paid dividends, companies that continued to generate revenue without their direct intervention, or digital assets that never stop because the digital economy operates day and night. Think about this. If you save $500 a month in a checking account, after 10 years, you'll have $60,000, but with no real growth. On the other hand, if those same $500 are invested with an average annual return of 8%, which is the historical performance of the S&P 500, after 10 years, you wouldn't have $60,000, but almost $91,000. The difference is clear. Those who let money sleep lose it. Those who put it to work multiply it. Money is like a river. If you stop it, it stagnates. If you let it flow in the right direction, it becomes energy, growth, and freedom. Most people are trapped in the idea that they can only make money by giving more time. Millionaires understand that time is limited, but capital, when used well, is infinite in its capacity to grow. So the question is, are you letting your money sleep, or are you training it to work for you? Rule 2. Change your mindset, change your destiny. The true boundary between poverty and wealth isn't in your wallet, but in your mind. The difference between those who prosper and those who stagnate isn't usually talent or luck, but mindset. If a person thinks money is dirty, that rich people are bad, or that accumulating wealth is impossible for someone like me, their brain automatically programs itself to reject opportunities. And the worst part is that they don't even notice. They simply repeat inherited patterns, work hard, but never break the invisible ceiling of their own beliefs. A revealing fact. According to a Harvard Business Review study, more than 60% of the bad financial decisions people make are not due to a lack of money, but to limiting beliefs. In other words, most fail not because of a lack of capital, but because of a lack of mindset. Think of it this way. 2 people receive the same monthly income. One sees that money as something meant to pay bills and survive. The other sees them as seeds that can multiply if invested wisely. After 5 years, the first is still in the same place, trapped in the salary cycle. The second has already built assets that generate extra income. What changed? Not the money, not the luck, but the way of thinking. The rich don't ask how much does it cost, but how much can it generate? For them, every expense is a potential investment. every calculated risk an opportunity for growth. This mindset forces them to see abundance where others only see limitation. If you've ever thought, "That's not for me," stop and question where that inner voice came from. It's probably not yours, but rather your environment, your upbringing, or past experiences. What you believe about money today defines what you'll reap with it tomorrow. Real change begins when you decide to reprogram that mindset. When you change your internal dialogue from "I can't" to "How can I?" When you understand that it's not about luck, but about vision and preparation. If you want to take the first step toward that change, write in the comments, "I accept success and happiness in my life." Because only when you accept it first in your mind does your destiny begin to align with it. Rule 3. Financial education is worth more than a college degree. Today, millions of people have a diploma on their wall, but an empty bank account. Not because they aren't smart, but because the traditional education system rarely teaches how money works. College prepares you to work in a company, keep schedules, and earn a salary. But it rarely teaches you how to invest, how to manage debt, how to build assets, or how to multiply your capital. You study complex mathematical formulas, but you don't learn how to fill out a tax return. You memorize theories, but you don't learn how to generate passive income. A stark fact: according to the U.S. Federal Reserve, more than 53% of college graduates admit they don't feel prepared to manage their own finances after earning their degree. And it's no coincidence that more than 40% of adults in America can't cover an unexpected $400 expense without going into debt. Now compare that to something much simpler. A single lesson in compound interest can transform a life. Albert Einstein called it the most powerful force in the universe, and he was right. If you invest $200 a month from age 20 with an average return of 8% per year, by age 60, you'll have more than $600,000. That's the magic of putting money to work for you. No college degree guarantees that figure. A degree opens doors in the job market. Financial education opens doors to the world of freedom. One teaches you to earn money by working, the other to let money work even when you rest. That's why so many people with brilliant careers live with financial anxiety, while others without college degrees build empires. It's not about what you study, but how you apply what you learn about money. Rule 4. Problems are gold in disguise. The world doesn't pay for easy things, it pays for difficult things. If someone collects papers on the street, their contribution is valuable, but limited. That's why their salary is also valuable. On the other hand, those who find solutions to problems faced by millions are inevitably rewarded in the millions. Look at it this way: a person's value in the marketplace is not measured by the time they work, but by the magnitude of the problems they are able to solve. Jeff Bezos didn't become a billionaire because he worked 20 hours a day, but because he solved a gigantic problem: how to buy and have anything delivered to your door with a click. Elon Musk wasn't rewarded just for making cars, but for tackling a huge problem: the transition to sustainable energy and the future of mobility. According to a report by the World Economic Forum, 70% of the world's most profitable businesses were born by solving global problems: transportation, communication, energy, healthcare, or access to information. What for many was an inconvenience, for others was an opportunity disguised as a challenge. Think about your own life. Every difficulty you face can be turned into capital if you solve it not only for yourself, but for others. The entrepreneur who figures out how to save time, how to reduce costs, how to make life simpler or happier, inevitably multiplies his wealth. Problems are like hidden mines. Those who run away from them live with the bare minimum. Those who train to face them find gold in every difficulty. So, the next time life throws you an obstacle, don't see it as a punishment, but rather as a door disguised as a challenge. If you want to engrave this principle in your mind, write down below: I accept success, money, and happiness in my life.
because by accepting it, you remind your subconscious that every problem is also an opportunity to prosper.
Rule 5. Early failure is the university of the rich. The road to wealth is not paved with continuous victories, but with early failures that become silent teachers. Great entrepreneurs understand that losing early on is not a punishment, but rather a tuition fee paid at the university of the rich. Elon Musk is a living example. His first 3 space launches with SpaceX were disasters. He lost more than $100 million and was on the verge of bankruptcy. But instead of giving up, he turned each mistake into a learning experience. His 4th attempt was successful, and that single achievement attracted NASA contracts that are now worth billions. Jeff Bezos also experienced the same thing. In the 1990s, he was ridiculed for selling books online when no one believed e-commerce had a future. Amazon lost money for more than 7 years in a row, and investors called it the Amazon bomb. Today, Amazon not only sells books, but has become one of the most valuable companies on the planet, with a market capitalization exceeding $1.5 trillion. The difference between the ordinary entrepreneur and the extraordinary one is how they interpret the fall. The ordinary one sees it as the end. The extraordinary one sees it as a rehearsal for their victory. For the wealthy, every early failure saves them from costly mistakes in the future. It's better to make small mistakes early than big ones too late. A study by the Kauffman Foundation revealed that entrepreneurs who have failed once are 20% more likely to succeed in their next business, because each fall trains them to identify risks and adjust strategies more accurately. So the next time you face a setback, don't see it as a defeat. See it as a preview of your next victory. Every well-analyzed mistake becomes intellectual capital, and that is the most valuable asset an entrepreneur can accumulate. Rule 6. Start young, even if you have nothing. Time is the most democratic resource in the world. We all have 24 hours a day, but not everyone uses them equally. Wealth is not only built with money, but with years invested wisely. That's why starting young, even without capital, is an invisible advantage that few take advantage of. Warren Buffett, one of the most renowned investors on the planet, bought his first share at age 11. It wasn't a large investment in dollars, but it was a great one in mindset. That small step planted the seed of a fortune that today exceeds $100 billion. Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group, started his first business at 16, selling magazines. He had no experience, no connections, and no significant resources. But what he did have was the willingness to not wait for everything to be perfect. That early decision led him to create an empire with more than 400 companies in different sectors. The reality is clear. The sooner you start, the more time you give to compound interest, experience, and opportunities to multiply. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research showed that entrepreneurs who start before age 25 are 30% more likely to create long-term, sustainable businesses. And today, with the internet, you don't need an office or large amounts of capital. From a bedroom with a computer and network access, it's possible to start a project that reaches thousands of people. History is full of examples. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook from a college dorm room, and today the company is worth more than $900 billion. The real secret isn't waiting to be ready, because you'll never be 100%. It's taking the first step now with what you have, where you are. Movement creates clarity, and early action opens doors that doubt will never allow you to see. If this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "Nothing stops me, everything drives me." Because when you decide to start before perfect, you become unstoppable. Rule 7. Money doesn't change people. It only amplifies what they already are. Money is a mirror, not a disguise. It doesn't turn someone into something they are not. It only gives volume to what was already silent within their character. A generous man without money can buy you a coffee, donate a few coins, or dedicate his time to helping others. That same man with money can build schools, fund hospitals, or change the lives of thousands of families. On the other hand, the miser who keeps coins under the mattress today will tomorrow accumulate properties, accounts, and wealth without allowing anything to flow. The essence doesn't transform. Money only multiplies each person's nature. A study from Cambridge University revealed that 80% of financial decisions are conditioned by personality traits acquired before the age of 7. This means that beyond the amount of money we earn, our way of relating to it comes from the emotional and mental education we receive from childhood. Money then is neither moral nor immoral. It's neither good nor bad. It's a tool, as neutral as a hammer. In the hands of a builder, it creates a home. In the hands of a destroyer, it can cause harm. The difference lies in the intention of the person using it. And here's the crucial point. If you want money to be an amplifier of positive impact in your life today, don't wait until you have millions to start. Start now with what you have. If you give, even with a little, you're already training your mind and heart so that when abundance comes, money expands the best of you, not the worst. Rule 8. Discipline trumps talent. In the financial and business world, brilliant ideas abound. What's scarce is the discipline to bring them to reality. You don't need to invent the impossible. You need to execute the possible with excellence. Apple wasn't the first to create a portable music player, but it was the first to design one that combined functionality, aesthetics, and an impeccable marketing strategy. The iPod didn't triumph because it was the first, but because it was the best executed. The mistake many entrepreneurs and dreamers make is believing that success depends on a stroke of genius or a great idea. The reality is different. According to Forbes, 80% of startups that fail don't die due to a lack of innovation, but rather due to a lack of discipline, planning, and perseverance. Discipline is that invisible muscle that sustains projects when the initial excitement wears off. Talent can give you a head start, but it's discipline that keeps you in the race until you cross the finish line. Think about this. If you invest $500 a month consistently for 20 years in a fund that yields 10% annually, you'll end up with more than $380,000. But if you do it intermittently, jumping from strategy to strategy, you'll never achieve that exponential growth. The difference isn't in the initial amount, but in the consistency of the action. Write in the comments, "Nothing stops me, everything drives me." Because discipline is not a burden, it is the force that transforms small steps into gigantic results. Rule 9. Don't look for opportunities, create them. The future isn't predicted, it's built. Great visionaries don't wait for the perfect moment to arrive, they create it. Those who seek external opportunities often rely on luck. Those who create them depend on their vision and action. Economic history confirms this. In the midst of the 2008 recession, when millions were losing jobs and fortunes, companies that are now worth billions were born. Airbnb emerged by renting inflatable mattresses in a San Francisco apartment. Uber was born while the world was facing a global financial crisis. What for many was a desert of fear, for others was fertile ground for creation. This reveals a crucial principle. Wealth is not born from avoiding crises, but from knowing how to transform them. Those who learn to see beyond collective panic find paths where others only see walls. A fact to reflect on. According to the Kauffman Foundation, more than 50% of Fortune 500 companies were founded during economic crises or recessions. In other words, adversity isn't an obstacle, it's the stage where giants are born. The key is to shift your mindset from consumer to creator. Instead of asking, what will happen to the economy? Ask yourself, what can I build within it? Rule 10. Reading is the secret weapon of millionaires. Money changes lives, but knowledge changes destiny. And those who have accumulated fortunes know this. The true competitive advantage isn't in a bank account, but in the mind that knows how to multiply it. Bill Gates spends around 50 books a year reading.
That means, on average, each week he absorbs the experience and thinking of someone who took decades to learn it. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading and claims that his mind is like a snowball. Each page gives it more size, more weight, more speed. Even Elon Musk, without formal academic training in rocketry, learned aerospace engineering by reading technical manuals. The result? SpaceX, a company now worth more than $180 billion. How many people would have said that just reading doesn't accomplish anything? Most people seek entertainment. Millionaires seek information, and that's the difference. While some spend hours consuming what distracts them, others invest hours absorbing what prepares them. Reading isn't a hobby for them, it's an investment with the highest compound interest in the world. Because every book read opens a door that, sooner or later, translates into better decisions, greater vision, and ultimately, greater wealth. Wealth isn't a destination, it's a path of discipline, vision, and continuous learning. It's not about how much money goes into your pocket, but how much knowledge enters your mind and how you apply it. If this resonated with you, it's because you're ready for the next message. Subscribe and join me on this journey to financial freedom. The next step is waiting for you.